Welcome, darling, to the dark side of paradise. I'm Salem Ash, and tonight I'll be your guide into the shadows. Have you ever found yourself longing for peace, only to discover something waiting in the silence? Tonight's tale takes us to a black sandy beach in Hawaii, where the breeze is warm, the waves are eternal, and something unseen is watching. So light a candle, lock the door, and let me take you somewhere haunted. This is The Man in the Waves. When she first saw the house, it took her breath away. Perched alone at the edge of a black sand beach on the big island of Hawaii, the home looked like something out of a dream. 2 stories of worn white wood, wraparound porches, and rustling palms swaying in the salty wind. It was paradise. Or at least that was what Alina told herself when she signed the papers. She had come to Hawaii to escape the bustling, cold secrecy of New York had left her hollow, like a shell that had been picked clean over time. Her childhood had been marked by silence, raised by a mother more interested in wine than warmth. Alina had always been lonely, even when surrounded by millions. So, the idea of being alone on an island didn't frighten her. In fact, it felt like kind of a peace, a clean slate, a fresh breath of salted air. But peace has its price. From the first night, the house seemed aware. It started with small things, the sound of footsteps pacing the porch in the early hours of the morning, even though there was no one there. The porch swing swaying gently on windless nights. The faint scent of cologne, something woodsy and masculine, wafting through the hallway as she passed by. Or a single seashell on her pillow one morning, delicate and white, that she had never seen before. She blamed the ocean at first, the wind, her overactive imagination. Maybe she was just unwinding decompressing from city life. But the signs grew harder and harder to ignore. The books she hadn't touched moved from the shelf to the table. Her favorite teacup, a chipped porcelain thing from her childhood, appeared beside her bed one morning, even though she always kept it in the kitchen. One night, she woke up to find all the windows wide open, the curtains billowing like veils, though she was certain she'd locked them before going to bed. Then came the whispers. They weren't words exactly, more like breathy suggestions, heard just at the edge of sleep. She started waking up at the same time every night, 3:17 a.m., only to find the room just a little colder and the shadows just a little deeper. The turning point came on the 7th night. You see, she had been dreaming. One of those vivid, surreal dreams. The one that leaves your heart racing and your mouth dry. Yeah, those. Well, in it, she stood on the beach just before dawn, watching the tide roll in, and someone called her name. Not shouted, whispered. A man's voice, familiar, kind. When she woke, her feet were covered in black sand. Shaken, Alina decided she couldn't ignore it anymore. She contacted a local paranormal investigator. It was an older woman named Malia. She wore long skirts and carried bundles of sage everywhere she went. Now Malia arrived the next morning and stepped into the house like she already knew it well. She lit her sage, she muttered prayers in Hawaiian, and she wandered through the rooms where her eyes half closed. Hours passed. Finally, Malia returned from the upstairs hallway and sat across from Alina at the kitchen table. "He followed you here," she said simply. Alina felt something in her chest drop. "What do you mean?" Malia explained. There was a presence in the house, gentle but desperate, protective, a soul who had watched her with quite sorrow. Not a stranger, but someone from a time in her life fogged with loneliness and unspoken dreams. Someone who had seen her pain long before Hawaii's sun touched her skin. A presence lingered from her New York days. Not a lover, but perhaps someone who had hoped to be. As Malia spoke, a memory stirred. A boy who worked at the dusty used bookstore down the street. Alina used to stop in after school, pretending to browse while secretly hoping he'd be there. He had eyes like storms, restless but deep. Once he had pressed a small book of poetry into her hands and said, "You deserve words that see you." She never forgot that. Never saw him again either. Until now. Malia nodded, as if hearing her thoughts. "He died not long after you moved away," she said. Alina didn't cry, but that night she left the window open on purpose. She brewed 2 cups of tea and placed one beside her on the porch swing. The air was still. The ocean hissed in the distance. And for the first time, she spoke into the darkness. "You don't have to hide." She waited. Nothing moved. Nothing changed. But the warmth beside her grew. She didn't see him. Not really. Just a shimmer of something at the corner of her vision. The feeling of being watched, not with malice, but with love, with longing. In the nights that followed, the house felt less empty. The air felt warmer. The footsteps still came, but they no longer frightened her. Sometimes, when she read by the fire, she felt a presence lean in, just to listen. And in moments of deep sadness, she would smell his cologne and even feel the faintest brush of fingertips at her shoulder. And in her dreams, the man would sit beside her on the beach, watching the tide roll in. He never aged. He never changed. Sometimes he would smile. Once, he reached out and brushed the hair from her face. She woke up crying. They never spoke, but she was never lonely again. That was sweet. Well, thank you for joining me in the dark tonight, darling. If you feel a presence beside you now, maybe don't look too closely. Some spirits don't like to be seen. If you enjoyed this tale, press that little subscribe button. I'll be waiting for you here in the quiet, in the shadows, and with more stories to keep you up at night. So until next time, sleep tight. And remember, whatever you do, don't answer when someone whispers your name.